Welcome back, everyone. Time to do another comparison between the newly released iPhone 12 mini and the somewhat older iPhone 10. Now, the iPhone 10 came out in 2017, but the iPhone 12 mini just came out. So let's go and see how both these phones compare. Now, the iPhone 10 you can pick up in a lot of places for around $300 to $350, definitely less than $400. The iPhone 12 mini costs $729 to pick up right now. But I will tell you, these things, including tax and everything, they can get pretty pricey for one of the cheaper iPhone 12s, which is pretty insane. So if you want to pick up either one of these, links will be down in the description. You can pick them up from there and help support the channel at the same time. Now, side by side, you can definitely see that the iPhone 12 mini is pretty much the smaller phone for sure. And I think the overall phone can fit inside the entire panel of the iPhone. It gets pretty close, as you can see. So definitely when it comes down to it, the 12 mini is the smaller phone. The iPhone 10 has that 5.8-inch Super Retina OLED display, whatever they call it. And I can definitely tell you it's a really good panel. I've shown it in my channel for years and years and years now, and it's been a really good panel for the most part. Anything I've ever done with it has been perfectly fine. I even think with like the iPhone 12 Pro and all these other phones that come out, I don't really see that big of a difference, if I'm being honest. And even between this one and the iPhone 12 mini, I really don't see those many differences. They seem almost kind of like the same panel. Like, I'm sure this one is better. I'm sure the iPhone 12 Pro is better, but the way they look is almost identical in my opinion. You have the notch up top, very little bezel around the panel, and it's just a really good looking phone overall. And the iPhone 12 mini is more or less the same. It's like the exact same thing, but just in a smaller footprint. You're getting that notch up top, which is great. You're getting the flat sides, which is cool and everything. But I really just don't see that many, that big of a difference. The bigger differences are in the terms of the internal and maybe even the front camera. But there's some downsides even to pick up a 12 mini, in my opinion. Now, when you feel both in the hand, I don't know if one necessarily feels way bigger or smaller. I know the 12 mini feels smaller, but it also feels a little weirder because of the flat sides. It kind of feels a little bit stranger to hold. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. It's just a little different. I'm so close to, I'm so used to holding a curved type of phone, and I'm not really getting that on the iPhone 12 mini. In terms of the thinness and thickness though, you can definitely see that I really do think the iPhone 12 is probably the thinner one, or the iPhone 10 is I don't really think one is way thinner or thicker, to be honest. They feel about the same. And in terms of the cameras on the back, you can see dual camera setups on both, and the glass backs that are pretty much the same as well. Now the iPhone 12 mini does have, the whatever this is, the flat sides on it, so it looks a little bit different, but in reality they're almost the same. And also, I want to note the 12 mini, the white on the back is a little bit more warmer than the white on the back of the iPhone 10, which is really random. So definitely when it comes down to it, they both have almost the exact same externals. It's just the iPhone 12 mini is a smaller one when it comes down to it. Now they both have wireless charging, IP certification, all that good stuff, pretty much the same thing. But I do think the iPhone 10 feels more premium overall. The aluminum side on the iPhone 12 mini, even though it's flat, doesn't really compare to the stainless steel side that you're getting on the iPhone 10. So that's a pretty big thing in my opinion. Now in terms of the software standpoint, this is a little bit of a difference as well. Because the iPhone 10 is, the older phone, it came out in 2017, I don't really think it's going to last as long as the 12 mini as expected. The 12 mini's biggest advantage, in my opinion, is that that's going to last much longer than the iPhone 10. If you pick up an iPhone 10 right now, it could theoretically last you up until maybe 2023. The 12 mini is going to last until 2025 or 2026 in terms of the last software update. So as of right now, it doesn't really matter, but eventually a couple years from now, it may matter to you. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. But both of them are getting the same, software updates when those come out. So that's a pretty important thing to keep in mind too. So in terms of software, that pretty much covers it up. Let's go into a speed comparison between these two phones now. The iPhone 10 has that Apple A11 Bionic chip inside of it with 3 gigabytes of RAM, where the iPhone 12 mini has that Apple A14 Bionic chip inside of it with 4 gigabytes of RAM. So let's go and see which one is the faster one between both of these. Okay, now that we're back, let me go and clear the apps in the background. And of course, with the 12 mini, I forgot to. The iPhone 10, I just cleared them out in the beginning of this video. So let's go and start loading these bad boys up. Let's do phone calls, 3, 2, 1. And I guess I didn't hit it here, but I guess we'll just skip to the next one. App Store, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 12 mini was faster. The iPhone 10, for some reason, didn't want to load up those pictures, which is very weird. And I guess it doesn't want to load up any of those pictures. Let's go and click on it. And we're getting this cannot connect to App Store. Very, very weird. I was just connecting before, so I don't really get that one. Let's go and load up these third-party apps that I have on this phone. Let's do Fruit Ninja, 3, 2, 1. The 12 mini looks like to be faster. The iPhone 10, a little bit older and, a little bit slower, I meant to say, but it is older. And it's stuck on these little things. So I don't want to give it this specific little, I don't want to say it's that much worse because, it was being a little weird right there. Let's do Twitter, 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 12 is faster. iPhone 10 a little bit slower. Facebook, 3, 2, 1. The iPhone 12 mini faster, iPhone 10 a little bit behind. Let's do Temple Run 2, which I don't even know if I have. And I guess, oh, there we go. 3, 2, 1. And you can definitely see, I mean, the iPhone 10 was definitely behind the 12 mini. And of course, we have this stupid error, whatever, connection error. I keep getting these. I don't know why. It was perfectly fine earlier. It's like every time I try to make a video, it screws up. Let's do stack. 3, 2, 1. And again, the 12 mini was faster. iPhone 10 a little bit behind, and again, it's not going to load up these ads, which is very strange. Let's get into some gameplay, see if there's a difference. And I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference. They're both looking kind of about the same there. So that pretty much covers up that one. Let's get to the next one. Paper IO2, 3, 2, 1. And the iPhone 12 mini was faster. iPhone 10 a little bit behind. Let's get into some gameplay. And maybe there's going to be a difference. I'm not really too sure. And I don't think there really was, to be honest. Snake versus blocks, 3, 2, 1. And again, the iPhone 12 mini was faster. iPhone 10 was actually just slightly behind. They both were actually very, very close. But in terms of gameplay, they both kind of glitched up, to be honest. And I would go ahead and do Real Racing 3 right now. I don't even know if I have it on my phone, but we can go and test it. And I guess I do. Real Racing 3, 3, 2, 1. And the 12 mini just loaded. That's actually very, very good. The iPhone 10 is still loading. There's nothing wrong with that. It could take another extra couple seconds, but who knows? And I noticed with these phones, especially with the Apple A11 Bionic chip era, it's been kind of glitching up a little bit, which is not a big deal in my opinion, but it is kind of interesting to see. And of course, we have to download it. I was not expecting that, but I still think the 12 mini would have probably ended up being the faster one when it came down to it. So we can do thank you, 3, 2, 1. I could do all these apps in the world, but I mean, I can probably tell you the 12 mini is going to be the faster one every single time. The iPhone 10, as you can see, definitely behind, but once the game is loaded, I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference. So probably when it comes down to it, what I can tell you is the iPhone 10, I think is still a pretty decently performing, and you can actually see that the 12 mini restarted again there. I've been saying the 12 mini's RAM management has been awful, and I'll give that one, a break because it didn't load up on the iPhone 10, but let's do Fruit Ninja. And look at that, the iPhone 10 was kind of able to keep it up still. The iPhone 12 mini restarted. So that was pretty much my biggest problem with the 12 mini, and I've said this before and I made a whole separate video talking about it, is basically the RAM management on the iPhone 12 mini just isn't that good. Even compared to the iPhone 10, it has less RAM and it's much older. This one has better RAM management than the 12 mini, so Apple needs to push out an update to fix this specific RAM management thing that's going on with the 12 mini. I even hopped out of that app and it still didn't load up, so I'll definitely say the performance probably goes for the 12 mini, but the RAM management may actually be better on the iPhone 10. So I'll do a full speed comparison at some point, but let's go ahead on the cameras. Now the iPhone 10 has that dual camera setup, 12 megapixel wide, 12 megapixel ultra wide. The iPhone 12 mini has that 12 megapixel wide and 12 megapixel ultra wide sensor. And I take that back, the iPhone 10 actually has a 12 megapixel telephoto lens, not an ultra wide sensor. Now, I've said this before and I'll say it again. I feel like the iPhone 10's camera was pretty decent. It was pretty much the same thing as the iPhone 8 Plus, but it was a really good camera setup. And the thing I love about it is the panel itself. It really made the phone kind of feel that much better because you're kind of seeing through the phone lens itself, which looked really cool. But you can only do 4K at 60 on the back. But you can do 4K at 60 on the back, which is great, but you can only do 1080p on the front of the iPhone 10, and that may be the biggest problem with the iPhone 10. Not necessarily a problem, but if you want, like I've said before, my favorite thing about a phone camera is usually the front camera and not the back camera, if I'm being honest. Now on the iPhone 12 mini, on the other hand, I think it's a pretty good camera. I really like that ultra-wide sensor, and it probably is an overall better camera setup than the iPhone 10 for sure. I'm not even afraid to say that. It's a newer phone, has a newer quality of cameras and everything, so I'll definitely give this one the edge. But the better thing, in my opinion, about the iPhone 12 mini is the front camera. I do think that the ability of shooting 4K at 60 on the front of the iPhone 12 mini really adds that much more capability on this phone, and that's something I really do like. So I'll do a full camera comparison, but I'll probably say the 12 mini has a better camera setup than the iPhone 10 for sure. Now, ending it off with the battery life, the iPhone 12 mini has a smaller battery in size than the iPhone 10, but because of iOS 14, it's pretty much ruined a lot of older phones, so I'll probably say the 12 mini is somehow going to have the better battery life, but I'll do a full battery comparison at some point so I don't waste your guys' time. But to kind of sum up this video and to answer the question, should you pick up the iPhone 10, should you pick up the iPhone 12 mini, well, what I can tell you is that between both phones, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons. Obviously, if you have the money, go for the iPhone 12 mini. It's a newer phone, it's a smaller phone, some people may like it, but it is going to be lasting you longer than the iPhone 10. But I will tell you, there is a lot more similarities than differences between both of these phones, and I'll be the first one to admit it. The iPhone 10, because of its design, because of what Apple, the chance they took, I guess the chance they took at that time in 2017, really future-proofed this phone. Because of the design, you can still use this phone and not feel like you have an old phone by any means. It's still capable. The notch is still the same on all phones. The design is still the same on both. Really, the biggest difference is the flat sides now on this one. But everything else, for the most part, is kind of the same besides the internals, okay? It's a little bit faster, a little bit better camera, a little bit better battery life on these new generations, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's, the iPhone 10 is way outdated or it's super old. This phone still completely holds up in my opinion. If I had the iPhone 10, I would still be completely using it. Now the 12 mini is the better phone as expected. It's going to be able to do you much more things, I guess. It's going to be lasting you longer too, which is I think the biggest difference. The software update life cycle is going to be much longer on the iPhone 12 mini. You can pick up the iPhone 10 today. In a couple years you'll have to update or you'll be outdated. The 12 mini, you can keep it for pretty much twice the amount of time you're going to keep it on the iPhone 10. But the question is, by the time that happens, you're probably going to update your phone anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But I'll probably tell you, I mean, if I had an iPhone 10 right now, I probably would not update to an iPhone 12 mini or any of the iPhone 12s. I personally would probably go from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 11 Pro or 11 Pro Max. I feel like those phones, for the value that you're getting, is a much better deal than the 12 mini or any of the iPhone 12s. I feel like these phones are kind of too expensive for what they're offering. They're too similar to the previous generation, and I would probably recommend you to go from an iPhone 10 to an iPhone 11 Pro and save yourself some more money that way than going from a 10 to any of the iPhone 12s, to be honest. I use an iPhone 12 Pro as a main phone. I like it. But the 11 Pro gave me a really good experience too, and it's too close of a phone for me to go and tell you to spend over $700 for this one or $1,000 for the more expensive one. I'll still say the iPhone 10 has a really good phone for sure, but if you want, pick up 11 Pro or 12 or whatever. But I'll definitely say going from an iPhone 10 to the 12 mini is a good idea, but I think the iPhone 10 is still like 90% of what the iPhone 12 mini is, to be honest. So that really pretty much covers it up. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count, so it means so much if you guys can hit that. Also, check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.